Come, banner lords, rest your men and horses, while song and spirits refresh your soul. Long marches and brutal battles wear down even the hardiest warband. But such is the price of ambition. You remind me of another. A man who braved storms of javelins and shattered shields to master the waves, rising from a petty pirate to the Sultan's right hand. His tale begins in the humble fishing village of Abgan. An oasis nestled between majestic mountains and mighty sea, where homes of crumbling clay and weathered wood bake beneath the desert sun. Blankets and reeds sway in the salty ocean breeze as robed villagers tend their livestock. With land too harsh for agriculture and no rich mines of precious metals to fuel industry, the people of Abgan learned to draw their livelihood from the bounty of the sea. As a boy, Bobarossa helped his mother mend torn nets and sharpen hooks and harpoons. Once he was old enough to sail, he joined his father and brothers on their fishing voyages. Tirelessly, he managed the rudder and sails, while his kin strained to haul in bursting nets heavy with fish. Once the hull was packed with flopping silver catches, the men set course for the port city of Qasira. There, eager merchants paid good coin for the fresh catch, knowing the bustling markets were filled with hungry townsfolk. As they sailed home, his father taught him to navigate by the stars and constellations, how to harness the wind and waves for speed. Once ashore, the men labored to keep their aging boats afloat, patching faded planks with hot tar and mending torn sails before venturing out again. It was hard work for modest pay, yet many men found peace and purpose in such a life. Bobarossa did not. The daily routine of casting nets, mending sails, and hauling fish left him restless. He yearned for something greater than the quiet life of a fisherman. As he strolled along the docks of Qasira, he found himself captivated by the wealth on display. Great merchant vessels sat heavy in the water, their holds stuffed with exotic goods from distant lands. Traders clad in fine silks and linens barked bargains to the busy crowds, while purses swollen with coin hung proudly from their belts. As he stood there in his rags, reeking of fish, envy began to fuel ambition within his heart. Upon returning home, he gathered his meager belongings and left the fishing village behind. He arrived at the gates of Qasira, hungry, poor, and looking for work. He found an aging merchant, desperate for help, who was offering generous pay to anyone willing to deal with the growing problem. Looters had been ambushing villagers on the roads, leading to the city, disrupting the flow of goods and cutting deeply into his profits. He promised generous payment to anyone willing to bring them to justice. Bobarossa scoured the streets and alleys looking for rough men eager for coin. Once he had the numbers, he marched out to hunt the brigands. The looters' success had made them arrogant. They were not difficult to find. When the two groups finally met, they hurled themselves at one another in a storm of violence. Tools swung, stones flew through the air, and men grappled in the dust. By the time he was old enough to lift one, the young fisherman had learned to cast harpoons at fish too large for nets, and sharks bold enough to steal his family's catch. Now he turned that skill against his foes, launching the fishing spears with deadly precision into the bodies of the bandits. The fighting was fierce and bloody, but when the dust settled, Bobarossa stood victorious. Battle after battle echoed across the countryside as looters were hunted down and slain by the dozen. It was not long before the long roads leading to Qasira were safe once more. When he returned to the city, the old merchant and his peers welcomed him warmly. Trade flowed again, their profits recovered, and they proved generous in their gratitude. Between the rewards they paid and the spoils taken from the looters, Bobarossa earned more coin than he had ever imagined. For many men, such wealth would have been enough. But for the Redbeard, it was merely the beginning. His ambition stretched far beyond the roads of Qasira. It is true of every empire that there are always those who reject civilization. Across the vast southern deserts, tribes as numerous as the stars make their homes beneath the sky. Most bend the knee to the mighty Azari Sultanate, but others defy its rule. These desert bandits dwell among the rocky mountains and winding wadis that carve their way through the sands. They survive by preying upon peasants, merchants, and caravans unfortunate enough to cross their path. Tales of hidden camps overflowing with plunder spread from village to village. Yet few dared pursue such riches. The desert bandits are fierce warriors, renowned for breaking their enemies beneath a barrage of slings and javelins before vanishing back to the desert. Bobarossa used his newfound wealth to outfit his warband with sturdy weapons and swift horses, preparing them for the battles ahead. They rode from village to village, gathering rumors and questioning frightened peasants about the movements of the bandits. He followed their trail across the unforgiving sands, using the same stars and constellations that once guided him across the sea. He tracked the elusive marauders through rocky passes and endless desert. Their war cries echoed from the earthen cliffs as the thunder of hooves shook the hard ground. Bobarossa and his men stood firm while the bandits charged with savage fury, filling the air with javelins and stone. Desert bandits were accustomed to peasants and merchants fleeing at first contact. They were not prepared for men willing to answer their savagery with violence of their own. Steel clashed, horses screamed, and blood soaked the thirsty earth. When the fighting was over, weapons, armor, horses, and captives were claimed as prizes. Certain that their hideout was nearby, he pressed on through the night, and soon he found it. They stormed the secluded stronghold before the bandits could organize a proper defense. Once again, the fighting was fierce, but the outcome was never truly in doubt. Before long, the compound had been overrun and its defenders either slain or captured. The rumors had been true. The hideout was overflowing with weapons, livestock, and coin. Yet the ferocity of the battle taught an important lesson. If he wished to turn his ambitions into reality, he would need more than wealth. He would need warriors. Among the captives, he selected the strongest and most capable fighters, offering them a place within his growing warband. These men brought more than swords and spears. They possessed invaluable knowledge of the desert, its hidden trails, and the many outlaw bands that haunted its wastes. And so, the hunt continued. Hideout after hideout fell before them. With every victory, their ranks swelled, their skills sharpened, and their coffers grew heavier with dinars. Before long, tales of the Red Beard and his warband were spreading across the land. The group traveled to the great city of Sinala, where Bobarossa exchanged his hard-earned wealth for 3 eastern galleys and enough goods to fill their holds. Before setting sail, he personally inspected each vessel, ensuring they were fit for the voyage ahead. As the breeze filled the sails, pulling the ships from the harbor, he could not help but think of his days aboard a humble fishing boat. The sun warmed his weather-beaten skin, while salty gusts swirled around him. He felt as if the sea was welcoming him home. The voyage proved swift and profitable. Crossing the southern sea, the galleys arrived at the imperial port of Zionica, where their cargo fetched handsome prices. Pleased with their success, Bobarossa allowed his crew a night of celebration in the taverns. The men drank, sang, and spent their coin freely before returning to their ships at dawn. As the sun rose, the galley slipped from the harbor and once again took to the open sea. It was here that fate charted a new course, for there are others who draw their livelihood from the bounty of the sea. War sails appeared upon the horizon. All who braved the sinister seas knew of the crafty Corsairs who preyed upon fishermen and merchants to satisfy their greed. Their vessels closed swiftly, cutting through the waves as they rushed to intercept the merchant galleys. The Corsairs attempted to board the ships, launching their javelins with murderous intent. But these were not helpless merchants, guarded by a handful of hired swords. Bobarossa and his men answered with volleys of their own. Javelins tore through sails, while steel rang against steel. The sea ran red with savage violence as both crews plied their brutal trade upon the other. In the end, the pirates were overcome. The spoils of the battle were immense. Stolen goods, captives, weapons, armor, and best of all, a magnificent new vessel. The sturdy Sambuck is favored by Corsairs for good reason. Her lateen sails can harness the wind from many directions, driving the ship across the waves at stunning speed. Her deep hull can carry vast quantities of goods and men, while her flat deck provides a perfect platform for the Corsair way of war. She was a marvelous vessel, perfectly suited to trade and battle alike. Thus began a new chapter in the young captain's life, one divided between trading and raiding. He continued to operate his lucrative merchant fleet, carrying goods between the ports and markets of Kalradi. Yet whenever a vulnerable vessel crossed his path, he was quick to seize the opportunity. His men had developed a taste for prize ships and plunder-filled cargo holds. With each victory, their wealth and reputation grew. Better still, many of the fiercest warriors they defeated chose to join his ranks rather than live a life in chains. With every voyage, the Redbeard's coffers swelled, and his name spread farther and farther across the sea. But as one man rises, another man falls. It was not so long ago that the Imperial legions had conquered the lands of the Azeroth. Now, the Empress Regea sought to bring them back beneath her banner, using the region's immense wealth and fertile lands to fuel her dreams of a united empire. The Sultan had risen to meet the challenge, but his armor had been shattered. Though he worked tirelessly to raise new forces, support was fading fast. The Imperials were masters of logistics, and the sea provided an uncontested highway for reinforcements and supplies. Their momentum seemed unstoppable. Then came another devastating blow. General Gyarios, eager to carve out his own dominion, marched upon Azerite territory as well. His armored legions sailed from Zionica and seized the great port city of Qasira. In a single season, the eastern reaches of the Sultanate had collapsed. Qasira was lost, and Sanala would surely be next. The Sultan's cause appeared doomed. It was in that darkest hour that salvation arrived. It came in the name of Bobarossa. As his ships entered the harbor of Sanala, the Sultan's men were waiting upon the docks. Escorted through the crowded streets and into the heart of the royal keep, his mind churned with questions and concerns. Had his actions somehow offended the Sultan? But he did not have to wonder for long. Soon, he stood in the presence of the great Sultan himself.
I am glad that you received my message. Are you interested in my offer?
There was no time to waste on ceremony. The Sultan's offer was direct. He wished to unleash the Redbeard upon his enemies. But the royal coffers had been drained by war. And so the Sultan offered a reward far greater than gold. Before the assembled court, Bobarossa was raised to the nobility of the Azeroth. He was granted his own clan, given the name Banu Albar, the Sons of the Sea. But the Sultan was not yet finished. To bind the rising captain to his house and secure his loyalty for the trials ahead, he welcomed Bobarossa into his own family and named him Son of the Sultan. It took a fortnight to prepare the fleet and its crews for war. The Sambucks had served their purpose well, but if the Imperials were to be broken, the clan would need true warships. It is difficult to describe the majesty of the mighty Gurab. Towering lateen sails, broad decks armed with ballista, banks of powerful oars, and a reinforced ram capable of splitting lesser vessels apart. She is the embodiment of Azerai glory and power. A ship built not merely for sailing, but for conquest. He spared no expense outfitting his vessels with the finest riggings, weapons, and equipment that coin could buy. The shipwrights of Sinala labored day and night as armorers, fletchers, and craftsmen prepared the fleet for the campaign ahead. And when all was finally ready, Bobarossa and the Sons of the Sea sailed to meet the Imperial threat. While it is true that the Imperial legions are masters of logistics, they were no match for the master of the waves. Time and again, Bobarossa and his men descended upon Imperial convoys like a storm unleashed. Merchantmen, transports, and warships alike fell before them as cargoes were seized, vessels captured, and soldiers sent to the dark depths. For the Imperials, the staggering losses became impossible to ignore. With ships sinking faster than they could be replaced and supply lines in ruins, they were forced to abandon the sea altogether. Cut off from reinforcements, their garrison began to weaken. Seizing the opportunity, the Sultan raised a great army and began reclaiming the territories that had been lost. As a reward for his extraordinary service, Bobarossa was granted the port city of Qasira. You should have seen how the people roared in celebration as the son of a local fisherman now became emir. Bobarossa once wandered these docks, dreaming of wealth and adventure. Now he ruled them. As he stood upon the harbor, overlooking the vast waters beyond, his vision was clear. From this port, he would forge an unrivaled naval power and dominate the southern seas. The Sultan continued his campaign, while the Banu al-Bar supplied and protected his armies as they advanced down the coast. The Imperial legions adapted as best they could. Rather than risk the sea, they formed their armies on the land and marched along the shoreline, hoping to avoid the fearsome Redbeard. But it was a vain hope. They found themselves being butchered beneath a barrage of javelins and arrows. Armies were crushed. Villages burned. And once untouchable Imperial towns began to fall. And now, Banner Lords, you have seen what can be achieved by those bold enough to master the waves. The son of a humble fisherman climbs from obscurity to become a trader, a Corsair, an Emir, and ultimately the right hand of the great Sultan. Behold the rise of the Corsair of Qasira. And here he sits in the glory of the rising sun, right hand of the Sultan, Emir of Qasira, King of Corsairs, Bobarossa. This guy is so badass, and we're going to come right in here, and you're going to take a look at him, and what do you know right away? You're not as straight as you thought you were. Delicious. Look at this. We got the brown and the gold all the way down into the fancy pants. You can see we've got the red beard, just like the real Bobarossa. And it's also true, I guess, that a lot of Muslim sailors used to put henna and paints and stuff on their face and beards. So maybe there were a lot of red beards running around. Legendary, legendary, all the way down. I got this sweet, sweet mount from joining up with the Sultan. Gave me this mount and his daughter, and they both ride fantastic. Over here, we got the scimitar going along with that pirate theme, and it perfectly blends with the drip. We got the gold and brown on the sheath here, which is good because it stays sheath a lot of the time. Didn't get this out very much because these bad boys were putting in the work. Let's go ahead and address the shield. First off, the shield's actually a lot bigger than this. It's just that the ocean's really cold, so it shrivels up a little bit. But no, you shield wall sluts, I know you love to sit behind your big board, that castle gate you like to lug around and just hug up to it. But let me tell you, this build and this playthrough's about firepower, motherfucker. That's what we're doing. And what are we doing? We're slinging these legendary hook javelins, 120 pierce. We're going to throw some god tier throwing on top of these, and we're going to clear decks and armies off the map with our boys, the Sons of the Sea, and we'll get to them in a little bit. Take one look at him. What's he telling you? Bannerlord breaks over, fella. I will say in Azerai territory, there's some great chess pieces that have even more gold on them, but I just felt like the gilded armor just fit that Corsair King look. You don't even have to go with the turban. There's some other good helmets you could put on him too, but every picture and image I looked up of Bobarossa, he's got a turban and a red beard, so I felt like I had to stick with it. He's lethal, he's sexy, he's all you're ever going to need, Bannerlord. Get yours today, and let's talk about building him out here. Here's my Corsair build, and here's something I want to challenge you on your builds is, and I want to show you in this build, is get the most out of your focus points and use your attribute points on what's going to be most fun. You don't need much one-handed at all. Honestly, I sat with one focus point for most of this playthrough. You can see I'm level 30. I barely got my one-handed up. By the time you're out of javelins and your forces are out of javelins, it's pretty much mop-up duty if the battle's not already over. I'm beginning to use the one-handed a little more in these late-game land battles, but you don't need much one-handed at all. It is nice to have this first perk where you get the plus 30 skill to infantry troops in your formation. This applies to the guys on your ship when you're captain of the ship. It can be nice to give them a little plus 30, but I wouldn't get too much into it, and I would leave it for later in the game because right here is really where you want to focus, throwing. This is the skill that thrills, and this is how Corsairs get down. I know you all love your fat little stacks of fiends, but out here on the waves, javelins are the meta. I've seen some debates on the forums about javelins versus throwing axes, but I don't know how. I'll throw my turban in the ring here, and I'll just tell you, it's javelins for me all the way. First off, no matter how much damage they do, these ones don't do a lot. You can get much better axes in Nordic territory, but you'll see if you look at the damage, it's cut damage, which is heavily mitigated by armor. Come over to these javelins, and what do you see? Pierce damage. If you're looking to do maximum damage on heavily armored dudes, javelins are your tools of choice. Axes are good at destroying shields, and if you really like popping shields, axes can do that for you. But I'll tell you something, javelins do just fine at destroying shields too. Once you get this Splinters perk, and you personally, it just applies to you, receive triple damage against shields, you can use throwing axes to destroy shields very well if that's something you're into. Or you could grab a javelin, level up your throwing a little bit more, and just throw them through the shields. Do notice the fine print here. It can penetrate shields. It won't always, but it does a lot. Here we've got a nice boost to draw speed that's going to help you get these things out quickly. Whether it's bandits or other factions' troops, you're going to be throwing a lot of javelins at a lot of cavalry. Sometimes you hit the guy, sometimes you hit the horse. This perk helps you bring him down either way. I did not start using a horse in this playthrough until I got one from the Sultan. For two reasons. First, I'm the son of a fisherman. I didn't learn how to ride horses as a young guy, so it was more thematic to start fighting from the ground. Also, I wanted to level up my athletics so that I could get the extra endurance attribute, the extra control attribute, and the strong arms perk, which are all outstanding for this build. Now, I screwed up here. You do not need 4 in endurance. You only need 3 to get up over 225. So don't put 4, only put 3. And so I skipped out on the mounted skirmisher perk, and I came down here and grabbed the extra ammo for me and my party. And remember, you can always go to the arena guy and respec if you want to. I love knockoff. I think it's a ton of fun. It's the same reason I love hammer bolts over here in the crossbow tree. Knocking cavalry off their mounts is just awesome. It just feels fantastic. But the truth is, with javelins, they're so powerful, you pretty much kill the cavalry anyway if you hit them. So they get knocked off whether you have that perk or not, and knocking them to the ground doesn't really matter. I mean, if you hit them with one of these javelins, even if they stay on their mount, they're a breath away from dying. One arrow, one chop from some peasant, and they're done. I like to come and grab running throw. We get a little increase to bonus from speed. So we get a little increase if we're running at enemies while we're throwing our javelins. Always feels great to do. But more importantly, we get plus 30 throwing skill to troops in our formation. A better way to say that in Corsair talk is we get plus 30 throwing skill to our elite Corsairs on our ship. Here's another one where if you're mounted, you probably want to take saddlebags, but I think skirmisher is just too good to pass up, especially when it comes to ship battles. And here I've thrown on a standard that gives me another 15% reduction in range damage taken. You throw on some elite armor, you get these nice reductions, and you're going to hold up a lot better in those big naval battles. Here's an execute. Here's massive increase to damage with headshots. We already talked about splinters and javelins versus throwing axes. The travel speed is very nice for landing those longer throws, especially when ships are going up and down in the water. Your projectiles moving quickly helps you land the shots you're trying to make. And impale, I mean, this is one of the most powerful perks in the game. This ability, coupled with bonuses to the amount of javelins you can carry on ships, makes you the Grim Reaper on the sea. And not only do you get that awesome personal perk, but look, another 10% damage with throwing weapons to troops in your formation, aka on your ship. Unstoppable Force is greedy. You don't need it. It's excessive. It's not needed. This ability is for psychos. This is not for healthy people. Once you get this ability and you throw all this shit on top of it with your legendary javelins, you're not a Corsair anymore. You're Zeus throwing thunderbolts. And just remember, if you really want to level it fast, get into some siege defenses and throw some rocks. Do not put 4 in endurance. That was a mistake. Grab these abilities. We're going to add another plus 20 throwing skill to troops in our formation, on top of the plus 30 we're adding right here. So plus 50 throwing. This is what I want to talk to you about when I said earlier, getting the most out of your focus points. You can see I didn't put a lot of attributes in cunning. And the only reason I went to 3 is because with 3 attribute points, that's going to get me keen sight. People are always like, well, you could just get your own scout. You can just get your own scout. Well, that's true. But look here. This only applies if you're the party leader. So if you have a scout with 225 skill, it doesn't matter. You're not getting this 50% reduction in Lords escaping. All he's going to give you is a sight penalty reduction when traveling through forest, and you're in the desert and the sea most of this playthrough. Not getting much out of that. Always read the fight print when it comes to perks, because a lot of perks only apply to the party leader. This was another mistake by me, because it seems on my other playthroughs where I have this perk that it actually only applies on land. So I have on my Bobocon build, I have the riding one. Where is it? Mounted patrol. So you get minus 50 here. You throw the keen sight on top of it. 100% reduction in Lords escaping until you hit the water. Yeah, it doesn't seem to apply on the water, which is crazy. But I had a bunch of Lords. I hit the water, and now they're jumping overboard, getting away, which seems very, like, just, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It seems like the least likely chance that you're going to lose them is out in the middle of the ocean. But apparently these guys can swim like crazy, and they just hop out and make their way back home. So it is what it is. I submitted the bug to Tail Worlds. I'm sure they'll get it tuned up at some point. But for now, maybe don't put the 3 attribute points. Maybe just write out a 2, because you get plenty right here. Someone asked me in a comment why I consistently pick Night Runner over Day Traveler. It's just a preference. In the 1.4 beta, they further increased the sight range reduction at nighttime. So I like to have the extra plus 30% at night, but it's not a big deal. Take whichever one you prefer. In the end, though, I'm glad that I put the 3 in Cunning and am going to get this perk, because you will find that eventually you push your enemies off the water like we have here. And so now I have to go on the land and fight them. And that's fine. I enjoy that too. It's kind of nice to take a break from all the sea battles at this point. And what you do is, when you defeat an enemy lord, you take them prisoner, and then you come stuff them in one of these fiefs that these other lords have. And my reputation with every faction, what's this guy, 146? I mean, my reputation with everybody is through the roof. And the Sultan's getting old here. He's getting great. He looks good. He looks real good. But he won't be around forever, and someone's going to have to fill those shoes. And who's your boy? Huh? Who's your boy? You know who it is. Bobarossa. He would make a great Sultan, I think. And I know you do too. You can still get a lot of use out of holding these lords prisoner, but just be aware that once you hit the water, these guys can swim like fish. It's unreal. Coming over to Roguery. Yeah, I love Roguery. When you consider all the weapons and armor you're going to need, all the weapons and armor your companions are going to need, all the ships and upgrades they're going to need, you need tons of dinars. And the best way to get that is with tons of loot. And when you get to a point where you no longer need the dinars, you can have your steward convert all that epic loot into experience for leveling up all your parties and clan. It's the cycle of Bannerlord that we all love. And there's just a ton of things you can do with loot. And the bonuses are fantastic. You're going to be recruiting a ton of Corsairs, so not taking morale loss every time you do is nice. With Scarface, we get an extra chance for bandits to surrender. And then when you level it up a little bit more, you can directly recruit them into your party. This bandits surrendering and joining your party only applies to bandits. It doesn't apply to pirates. For pirates, you got to come down here in the Mariner tree, and we'll talk about it here in a second, but I do want to point out this distinction. It's right here. Surrendering pirate parties can be recruited. And here's what you want. You want them to surrender. And their chance to surrender is based on your party size and power, like the quality of your troops, and in this case, your naval power. We're riding on 3 Garabs, so they're very inclined to want to join the Redbeard. Of course they are. Look at them. If you have that perk unlocked, you'll unlock this ability right here where I say, you can just join my forces. Now, instead of taking them as prisoners, I don't have any prisoners, I can bring them directly into my party. So we got these 6 guys, and I can fill up immediately. Say I want to, let's get rid of this convoy guy. How'd he get in there? I got all these recruits. I don't want these recruits. I want Corsairs, right? And I can get rid of these guys too. And so I just refill my party up with Corsairs immediately. What am I telling you with these abilities? Free refills. That's what it equals. This sea is swarming with Corsairs. All you have to do is run into them, and if they surrender, then you can recruit them. But remember, if you don't have the perks here for pirates and here for bandits, then you can't recruit them directly in your party. You have to take them prisoner, and slowly they convert to want to join your party from your prisoner pool. But here's the great thing about having both perks. Let's say I'm out here fighting on the land, or I'm way over here in Vlandian territory and coming back and, getting all my ships and coming back out here to get Corsairs, or coming back to Azerite territory to get recruits would suck. But there's a ton of Sea Raiders around. Well, guess what? For the time being, then, That'll have to do. I run into these guys. Look, there's the option. You'll earn your lives back under my command. Now, when your party's a lot smaller, they fight a lot more, and they actually, the amount of surrendering they do has been greatly reduced. But look, you just pull these guys in, and sometimes they got guys with them that they'll join too, like they're prisoners. I mean, you can pull all this in, 54 guys immediately. I mean, yeah, they're not the best troops, but they'll work in a pinch, and most importantly, you can keep your momentum going. So don't destroy the hideouts unless they're really causing you problems, because they're free refills. That's what they are. Then when you go back to Azerai territory or whatever, you can get rid of them, whatever you want to do. That's the power of partners in crime when you want to recruit bandits on the land, and R if you want to recruit pirates on the water. A 30% reduction in escape chance for heroes. That would couple with our keen sight here, so we'd have an 80% reduction overall. Like I always say, the real reason I love Roguery is because I love loot. There's a ton of things you can do with it. I don't even need money now, but the experience alone that I'm able to hand my troops is outstanding. The only reason I have 1 point in charm is because of the way I built my character at the beginning. One of the options gave me 1 point in charm, and that's plenty. This is absolutely plenty. Look how much influence I have. An extra +5 a day is not going to matter. What am I making? I'm making 3.5 a day, and I'm going to show you a perk that's incredible. You just are not going to need influence. You're going to be taking down fleets and armies nonstop. The extra 30% influence turns into more money on your merc contract. So this can be a nice one to get early. And if you're a fan of tournaments, the +3 renown per win is nice to have. Probably the most powerful late game skill, leadership. When it comes to replacing garrisons or replacing your forces or filling up your other parties, getting 200 experience to troops on recruitment is insane. And if you recruit bunches at a time, it gets your army up and running. You have to get veterans respect, because this allows you to convert your Corsairs into your Barias. And then you can use these guys as your melee javelin slinging maniacs. And then when you need some more archers, you can just upgrade them that way. Fill your army up with Corsairs, and as you fight, you can get whatever ratio you want of some of the best Mariner troops in the game. We'll go over them here in a minute, but the way you unlock this powerful combo, and that's how this all comes together, you see. That's the amazing thing about this build. Here you can recruit Corsairs all over the sea, and they are everywhere. I mean, there's 2 of them right here. They're everywhere out here. You go, you either fight them. If they don't surrender, you make them prisoners and you recruit them that way. If they do surrender, you pull them right into the party, and then you can convert them into whatever you need. And not just for you, but you can hand them to your other party members who are all filled up. And these guys have a ton of Corsairs and Barias in them too. I mean, this clan is elite. You're about to see it here in the battle tutorial. Get ready, baby. You're going to see it. I would encourage you to throw enough focus points in here so that this is leveling up quickly. Every time you recruit troops and upgrade them, you're leveling up your leadership a little bit, and you want to get this veterans respect ASAP. And then Talent Magnet, probably one of the most powerful perks in the game. You come into your clan parties tab, and you look here, you typically only get 4 of these. So you're 1, 2, 3, 4. By adding an extra one, that's an extra 146 troops I can add. And not only is it an extra 146 troops on a land battle, this is an extra full garab during a sea battle. And that's basically how I took back this entire southern sea here, as I was out here kicking the shit out of everything, and the Sultan just went bop, 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 bop all the way around. I didn't do any sieging, especially if you're on console. You don't want to do a siege, because the second you set your army into a conquered city, your guys are going to donate troops to that city, and you're going to have to build up your forces. Use your clan to kick ass, and then let everyone else handle all the sieging and garrisons and shit. You just keep your little badass clan all decked out with elite troops so that you can handle business. And then the final perk here, Ultimate Leader, just gives you a lot more guys in your personal party. And the higher you go, I mean, I can go up to 330 here. you get another guy for each point. So it's a great place to sink in attribute points if you really don't have anywhere to put them. So, I mean, this should be 10 because I shouldn't have this 4th in endurance. So I would go 3 in endurance, 3 in cunning, and 10 in social. Or you could put, hey, well, put 10 into control. If you're super psycho, you're an animal. If you go 10 in control, you are an animal. Take your meds, relax, fella. Okay, but it's kind of awesome. I kind of respect that. That's what I like about you. Over here to trade, gotta have it. Gotta have it because what you do is you farm in the early game. You just hit the bandit parties and bandits until you can afford the galleys. You buy the galleys, you buy some goods, you come up here and you start trading. And then you also start hitting Corsair parties. You just start busting them up. As soon as you can, you get on the merc contract. If you want, you can also hit trader convoys. That's another great way to make money. So you're raiding and trading. You're like a Corsair who trades on the side, and you might as well because you're getting tons of goods anyway, and you got to go sell them. So when you come into port to repair and sell and everything, grab some goods to take with you. Don't get too caught up in it. Just move product. Just fill up your ships and sail over there and sell. And this is what I did. I just stayed all in here and ran all the way around selling and pirating my little ass off. I know I bring it up every time, but I can't help it. I was having Sid Meier's Pirates flashbacks the whole time. It's just an incredible playthrough. It's a ton of fun, and you're going to make so much money so fast. I mean, folks, look down here. I am rolling in dough, and I got up and running in no time. You're going to collect a lot of enemy equipment as a pirate, and getting just an initial 15% reduction in the penalty makes it sell a lot better, and it gets your funds up and running very quickly. Love this perk, and then the extra carrying capacity. I think it's just fantastic. Oh, one thing to note that I love to do on my Azerite campaigns, and honestly, I like to do it on my Khazate campaigns too. Grab you some pack camels. And the best thing about pack camels is that you don't loot them that much. If you're not raiding Azerite territory, you're not going to loot many camels. If you use Sumpter horses or any of the other popular pack mounts, then what happens is every time you raid a merchant convoy, you get a ton more of them, and you're constantly having to sell them or whatever to keep your herding penalty down. Whereas if you just get some camels and you lock them in, it just kind of removes the hassle. Plus, they're awesome and thematic, and camels are sweet. I love camels. So grab some camels if you're out and about, because that can be a nice little quality of life improvement for you as a campaign goes on. And remember, your trade also levels up from caravans, and you should have caravans running, especially on an Azerite playthrough, because they get a reduction in the cost of caravans. This spice vendor, we'll get to her, but you need to be running caravans, and as they're running around, they're gathering you trade rumors. Another great thing about an Azerite campaign is that, especially once you beat your enemies back, their lands don't get raided at all. And so these towns get fat and prosperous, and prosperity determines how profitable your workshops are. Now, this one I've got shut down because it's just producing brew for all my pirate boys. But look down here. I mean, I am making so much money. I mean, making $4,000 in workshops, folks, and I got one more to get. Been kind of lazy here at the end because I've been so busy kicking ass like I do. And now with this perk, not only are they generating all that sweet dough, but they're also giving you daily renown. While you're out running around, you're just gaining renown, and you're going to level your clan tier up very quickly that way. If your caravans do get destroyed, $5,000 back ain't the worst. Everything has a price is a great perk, and I'll tell you what I love about it. Sometimes the fief system sucks, and how I plan to use this perk is that once the Sultan dies and I become Sultan, which I better, and even if I don't, I will be eventually. I can promise you that. That's a whole nother playthrough. But he dies, I become Sultan, but I don't get Sanala. I got to have Sanala. Look at that prosperity. Holy smokes. I got to do it, and it could go a lot higher. I mean, he's got that garrison filled up. It doesn't need to be that full. And he's still making food. I mean, that's how much food gets produced in Sanala. It's unreal. You're going to come over here. What are you going to do with Sanala when you get it? You're going to grab Sanala, And what do you see? Grain village, grain village, grain village. And I think these are actually connected. These are bound settlements. Is this a bound settlement too? No, that's the, oh no, it is. Okay. Fish and grain. And then guess what? My little spice vendor that's been running around. Where is she? I love this girl. We're going to talk about her more in a bit. But here she is in trade, and look what she's got. An extra 20% to production of grain in fish villages. So these villages that are feeding it are going to get a boost to their food production. You cut the garrison way down. It doesn't need 600, although, you know, security does become an issue. How's the security? I mean, yeah, look, he's got plenty of security. He doesn't need that many. Come on. What are you doing? This is the jewel of the South, and I got to have it, especially if I'm Sultan. But obviously, I'm not going to take it from the Sultan, and I don't want to go to war if I don't have to. This allows me to swap it out and buy it if I need it. And let your RP flow, right? I mean, maybe there's a good deal you could make for Razi or something. Maybe you get Zionica, and it's really built up, and you guys are pushing them back, and you could trade for Hubyar or Iakis. Maybe you want to buy Ascar down here. They're all there for the taking, especially when you got this amount of gold. Come on now. And it's still coming in. So it can be a nice way to bypass some of the funky AI and to, increase your playthrough RP, I think. So something to be aware of. You're going to make a ton more money off of everything you're looting and selling, which is you're going to be looting and selling goods galore as you hit merchant convoys. And remember, even when you take down the Corsairs, they've been hitting convoys. So sometimes there's stuff full of goods, and you're going to get a much better price on selling it as your trade goes up. And it passively levels from your workshops and caravans. I mean, it just levels up very quickly. Do remember with trade that you need at least 8 attribute points to get over 300. Skills that only require 275, you can get over with just 7. But trade here requires 300, so you're going to need at least 8 in social if you want this last perk. Maybe you don't care. Maybe you don't want to trade settlements, but it can be a nice option to have. If you've played War Cells at all, you know the benefits of the Mariner tree. Coming into Rolling Thunder, we've got an extra 50% conformity to pirate prisoners while at sea. In the early game, you're running around fighting these Corsairs and taking them prisoner. Before you have the ability to make them surrender and recruit them into your party, you're going to take them prisoner like this, and then it's going to take a while for them to decide to come around and join your crew. This ability speeds that up dramatically, and it's a very nice perk to have, and that you can get it right away is great. The Azurai Mariner troop is the Berea. It's probably a little more Arabic than that. It's like the Bahia. But I'm from Oklahoma. I know you guys get all worked up about mispronunciation, but I didn't pay attention in school. I was too busy being cool and making out with all the girls. Fucking nerds. Anyway, it's an archer unit. He's got a badass bow. Let's come in here and give him an extra 50% armor pin on ranged weapons. We already talked about the power of getting free refills on the sea. Make sure you grab this one. So this one, you could go either way. I like Boarding Master because I'm pretty aggressive in my tactics. But if you just want to sit back and let your guys throw javelins and shoot their arrows, you could take home turf advantage too. There's going to be a lot of times you're going to throw your javelin and pop a shield. And then it's not long before that guy goes down. However, this perk makes it so that if you pop the shield, you still deal damage. Also, look at the captain perk. Plus 15% range damage dealt to crew with what? Throwing weapons. So a 15% buff to all your Corsairs and Azurai veteran infantry that are throwing their stuff on top of all the other buffs you're throwing out. The only reason I picked up bosun skill is a reason that I hate. And what I hate is I hate that these war sales skills are dictated by different attributes. Because what this guy should be is a master shipmaster. That's what I want to be, but I can't because he's also going to be a Corsair, so he needs high control and high social. Well, control and social don't help you level shipmaster. That sucks. This tying of war cell skills to different attributes, just random attributes, it sucks. It's not needed. Focus points are plenty enough of a gate. And to be honest, it's just not fun. It would have been so awesome to level this all the way up and have a navy that just soared on the water. But I can't do that because of the attributes that I need for my build aren't tied to this. It just sucks. This just sucks. I hate this so much. And I sent that feedback to Tailworld, so we'll see what they do with it. But, I'm no one special. But if you guys could maybe make a little noise too, I'd appreciate it. Maybe you like it. There's a lot of ways to see things. I'm not telling you what to do, but I just think it sucks. I just think it really sucks. Anyway, I ended up going bosun because look here, control and social, and you can see we're all the way up here at the top. And here's the biggest kick in the fucking nuts, dude. This ability is glitched. It doesn't even work. I have a whole fleet of Garabs with fire pop ballistas. I lay siege. They don't do shit. They don't do shit on the campaign map, and they don't do shit in the battle. And it hasn't worked since War Sales launched. If you go check the forums, a lot of people have talked about it. Now, the second the bug gets fixed and this does work, I'm going to be very happy. Okay, so we're just going to leave it here because then I'll probably make just a whole video on how awesome this is because I could see it being incredible. I mean, pretty much any port city is fucked if I got to bring my navy to bear. We'll get to my navy here in a second. Stand by. It's not to say, however, that there's nothing good in here. I would just say that most of the perks that matter you could get with a good first mate. With the 1.4 beta, your companions can hold up to 2 roles. So your navigator can also be your first mate. The ones that stick out to me the most right here are well stocked, just extra ammo and extra thrown weapons. That's a really nice one. On top of the ship upgrades that give you extra ammo and extra weapons, means that when you get into those giant naval battles, your guys have ammo and javelins for days. This one doesn't seem that great, but the thing is, if you're going to be running around on the land, you are going to need mounts for your guys. Otherwise, your party speed is so slow you can't catch shit. So you do need to carry mounts with you, and getting a 30% reduction on these fat ass horses is a very nice reduction. But you can see right there, your first mate can get this for you. The only thing in here that's really great is Gilded Purse. And it is one of those perks that only apply if you're the party leader. But honestly, if you don't loot the ship, it's fine. Money's not a problem. The thing about extra ship command limit here is that it's only for your party. The second you're rolling around as an army, you have the ability to use up to 8 ships per battle. My personal army size is 323. Each one of these Garabs holds over 100 guys. Well over. I don't need an extra ship to command. I have a hard enough time filling these up. So there's no reason for me to add another ship. And when I'm fighting in my clan army, which I always am, I unlock 8 ships anyway. These perks are completely pointless. And so you level this bosun skill all the way up. For what? It just makes no sense. I'm not a governor and I don't need more ships. And so, here at 200, what benefit do I get? Nothing. Salvage, however, is an incredible perk. You set sail. We're going to come into our fleet here, and we got these galleys that we took off from that surrendered pirate party earlier. And right here, 9625, watch. Discard, discard, discard. Make sure you don't throw your Gurab in there. And we confirm, watch my influence go up. Boom. And those are light ships. Medium ships give you more. Heavy ships give you the most. I don't know what the numbers are. Figure it out. Finally, with resilience, we get a perk that's worth something here. An extra 30% healing rate while at sea for your troops. This can get your Navy back up in fighting condition very quickly. Naval bombardment not working. Shame. Shame, Tell Worlds. But once it does, stand by. It'll be its own video. I just want to reiterate how much I absolutely hate tying these skills to random attributes. Limits the build. It's not fun. Boo, boo, boo. Oh, when it comes to leveling your bosun skill, this is how you do it. You're running around and you're fighting ships and you hold on to those ships. And then you find a big storm. They're all over. There's one here. There's one here. Sometimes there's not a storm. You got to sail over to it. You find a storm. and you run around inside of it. Just keep sailing around with as many ships as you can hold. Doesn't matter. What's my oversized fleet here? You can see we got a huge fleet of ships. Don't sink the ships. Pay attention. You get them nice and low. That's probably even a little lower than you need to. Get them to port before they sink. And my skill's at 254, right? These last few levels take quite a bit, but you come in here, you repair all your ships, and now I'm at 256. And then you come back out here, and you run around in the storm again, and you do it over and over. Yeah, that's what I did. I did this over and over for you so that I could come in here and tell you the last goddamn perk doesn't even work. And the rest of these skills, most of the quality of life improvements that you can get can be covered by a first mate. So don't level up Bosun. Save your focus points. Put them anywhere else. Bosun aside, the rest of the build is fantastic, and it's a ton of fun. It's just the nature of Bannerlord. It's a wonderful game. It's without peer, but it's got some problems, and Bosun's a problem. We got to come in here. We got to redo this. It's got to get dressed up. In closing, I just want to point out all the bonuses to throwing and buffing up the throwing of your troops that you get. We've got the extra 30 skill here that we combined with the extra 20 skill here. A 50% increase to shield damage, a 10% increase to travel speed, another 10% increase to damage. And then when we're on the water, we get an extra 30% damage to shields, 50% armor pen, and another 15% increase to range damage dealt. On top of that, our Redbeard is throwing his javelins through shields, breaking shields and still causing damage, and just a ton of bonuses to your ability to light shit up. What am I telling you? Armies, navies, it don't matter. They are going to wither under your power and might of the Banu Albar. My boys, what are you doing? Time to fire up that campaign. Don't go 10 in control, psycho. Maybe do. Now let's talk troops. And this right here is the backbone of your playthrough. The killer Corsair has two of my favorite traits when it comes to troops: lethal and plentiful. My favorite piece of equipment on him, these deadly harpoons. 113 pierce. We couple that with 120 throwing, and that's what we're playing. That's the whole point of this playthrough, is we're playing pin the bad guys with javelins. These are the javelins you want to pin them with, and these are the guys you want throwing them, plus all the buffs. On top of the javelins, look at this sexy scimitar. I mean, look at the length on this thing. And when you've got to reach across a rope bridge and chop some dudes up, this is what you want to have. And look at the swing damage. 80 swing damage with 120 one-handed. With the buffs, this guy is a monster killer on the sea. They slaughter. And if you've played War Sails long enough, you've learned to fear the Corsairs. Now, the trade-off for being a mariner with all this firepower comes over here in this column, right? So we start with the head, and you can see the turban doesn't have a lot of armor. But I want to tell you something right away. It's awesome. Even if you put a nice helmet on a guy, 20, 30 armor, you get hit with one of these javelins, it doesn't much matter, right? A headshot's a headshot. So in the end, you may as well just put the turban on and hope you don't take the headshot, because I don't know that all the armor's saving you. And the turban looks so cool. You got the jewel, the pattern turban coming into the face tattoo. The shield ain't much, but it's good enough. It only has 200 hit points, although I will show you it has pretty good coverage, but it doesn't last long under fire. I don't know. I think it adds to its charm. Hey, look, what I tell you, they're lethal, and what else? Plentiful. If the shield goes down and he goes down, that's fine. There's another pack of them right around the bay. But hope's not lost, because you come into the chest piece, pretty good for a mariner troop. 36, 14, and 14. That ain't bad. And then we come into the legs, and 22. Honestly, he's perfect the way he is. Just let him kill, kill, kill. And when he dies, get some more. You're going to love him. Adding to that firepower coming off your ships, we can also upgrade these guys into the elite Azurai Berea. I mean, just look how awesome this guy looks. He's got the golden plate chest piece with the sash. We've got excellent armor for a Mariner troop. Look, he's got that armor, and he does get hit in the arm quite a bit. This armor is not fantastic, but it's okay. And he actually does have some good head armor here at 32. People always get upset because the Azurai Master Archer comes with 2 stacks of piercing arrows, 23 and 23. And my man only gets 1. Now, notice they are still piercing arrows. But here's the thing. Look at my man's bow here. What do you see? Step recurve, 52 pierce. Not that great. But look at this bad boy, 70 pierce. On top of that, he's a Mariner troop. So he has better damage and accuracy on the water, where you're going to be a lot. You throw that extra 50% armor pen on top of them, they are unstoppable. Couple that with all the javelins from your Corsairs, and your enemies are in trouble. Like I said, they do trade off the arrows to get a shield. And to be honest, it's not much of one. But hey, you know what? It's serviceable. That's what it is. I know you're going to get all worked up about the shield, but what am I telling you? Lethal and what? Plentiful. Because with those perks I showed you, you can level your Corsair chiefs that you take into your party, into your Bereas. So even if they go down, make another one. What did I tell you? You don't listen to me. No, you don't. What did I say? I said free refills. Bring them in. If you need more Corsairs to throw javelins, let them do that. You want to level a few of them up so that you got some Bereas pumping out rounds? Do that. Once the perks come together, you can just fill them up as you need them. Keep them in your party, put them in another party. Everyone always loves to talk up the Azurai veteran infantry because he comes with javelins, but the best part about the veteran infantry is his armor. He's very well armored for an Azurai troop. His javelins are not that great, 89 pierce, and his throwing skill is 80. Now, if you buff them up with all your perks, they get decent, but they're nowhere near Corsair range, and most certainly not on the water. Their best perk is having all this armor, and they got this spear, but you don't need it that much for this playthrough. So they're not as great as the Corsairs, and they're definitely not as replaceable. The Mamluk guards getting this mace. Now that the mace has gotten knocked down, I'm a huge fan of these guys, and as an emir, I like to have a few around. I just feel like I should have some palace guards with me. And this mace, 85 swing damage, and what's their two-handed now? 130, 140. Okay, so they get around on it. Give them a captain, and they'll really get around on it. I've seen these guys do some crumping on the sea, especially when everything's loaded on a bridge and they start sending that overhand, knocking guys down into the water. It's pretty cool, but no shield, you know. But to be honest, these guys barely have one, so it is what it is. The fates will speak, and then whatever happens, happens, and you can just go around and get more. For the most part, Corsairs and Bereas, once you start fighting on the land a little more, it can be nice to have a few of these guys for your front line just to take some of the more extensive damage, because these guys are not very with that, you know, on the sea, it's one thing, but you start getting in land battles with cavalry and archers, these guys, they go down pretty quick. Make sure you got a medic that can help you out there, because it's going to trouble. So I've been bringing in more infantry as I've been fighting on the land more, and then I just kind of supplement with these guys for the sea battles. But fantastic roster, and the Corsairs are a wonderful addition. Let's talk ships for a second. My suggestion is that you drop these battlements. And I know it sucks because at the highest level, they actually give you increased crew capacity, 10%. But what you'll consistently find when you fight in battles is your guys that are up here on the upper half, shooting out or throwing their javelins out, these battlements will soak up their projectiles. So in a sense, they nerf your guys as much as they protect them. It's not to say that they don't have their uses, and if you really like them, it's fine. But the AI is not great about shooting in between them. It does okay, but it's just not great. In my opinion, you have superior firepower between your Corsairs and, of course, your Bereas. You are going to win any shootout you get in. So I just don't think these are worth it. Also, you'll see, even from a captain perspective, you're up here on an elevated platform, so they really don't protect you as a captain that much either, because you're going to be standing up tall here. It's your call, okay? If you really like them, go for it. But if it's me, I just do the improved rudder. And it's the same on the Garab. I think they're better without the shields, and it's too bad because they look awesome. They really do. And I'm not trying to discourage you. If you love the look and it just makes you happy, by all means, put them on there. For me, I just got rid of all of them because in the end, I just found it was better to not have them. I'm telling you, go into some battles and you're going to see that these shields right here on the lower deck, you're going to see there's going to be arrows and javelins all in the back of them here. They do stop some incoming fire. So if you're just determined to have them, it's good. And also, another thing to mention, a benefit of having them is that 50% bonus to crew shield hit points. So you think about your Corsairs with those rather weak shields, 200 hit points, and now this is going to take it up to 300 hit points. I don't know how much that's worth for you. And to me, I just like to maintain absolute maximum firepower. And where you'll really notice this difference is if, say, you're in a big battle here and you have supporting fire from other ships, you'll see them trying to shoot off the back here and just round after round going into the back of those battlements or shields. If you're fighting other heavy ships like Dromons, then it's not as bad because they're as high as you are in the water. But if you start throwing things down, it gets really bad. For me, the only two upgrades that are absolutely mandatory are the Fire Pop Ballistas. I love these. The Grape Shot's okay if you're just hunting pirates. And of course, you have a greater chance of landing some fire on a ship, but you're not going to light a heavy ship on fire with Grape Shot Ballistas. I've tried it. It's not that great. The Heavy Iron Ballista does a ton of damage to ships. And I'll probably run a test here where I run Heavy Iron Ballistas for once, and we'll see. Because I actually think these might not be that bad. These are for bringing down ships. These really aren't for doing damage. But I have so much success with the Fire Pump Ballistas. Plus, it just feels awesome. So I'm a big fan of these. They look awesome. They have great range. The Iron Ballistas don't have near the range, but they do a ton more damage to ships, but they don't hit the troops as well. I'm just a big fan of the Fire Pod, especially when you get it on 5 or 6 ships. You're going to see. The other upgrade I'm just adamant about is the arrow and javelin crates. This is going to give your Corsairs and archers infinite ammo. Doesn't really matter when you're just fighting small pirate parties, but when you get into massive battles where it's fleet on fleet, this upgrade is essential and so powerful. Instead of the shields, you can go with the arrow brazier. It lets your guys shoot fire arrows. I don't really have a lot of success with it increasing the fire damage on ships. I mean, typically by the time they're in bow range, they're ready to board you anyway. So, but one thing I will say is it looks awesome, especially at night. Feel like you're fighting in a Star Wars battle. The shields look great, and I love them, and the bonus is fantastic. And if you're in a faction that is based on boarding, the shields are epic, right? So if you're in a northern faction like Sturgy or the Nords, I would say that the shields are essential. But when all your damage comes from arrows and javelins, I think these shields nerf you as much as they protect you. That's just my opinion. Your call. Go fight in some big naval battles and tell me what you think. And just wait till the end of the battle and walk up and down the deck here, and you're going to see on the inside of your shields here, there's going to be javelins and arrows galore. So it's like, did that really help me, or would it have been better if all that was going overboard? I don't know. It's the same with the covers, too. These poles that hold it up tend to soak up some arrows. Now, obviously, they're not as bad offenders as the battlements. But if you're going to put on the poles, hell, just throw on the battlements, too. You know, this makes this a very protected area, but there's just a lot of damage you can do from this elevated part of the ship. And you really want, in my opinion, you want to use this platform to do damage from. I mean, it's the elevated part. The whole point of it, elevating it up, is so that you can throw shit down or shoot stuff off of it. Turning it into a little luxury cruise line, I don't know. That's not really what I'm doing with my ships of war. So you'll see all of my fleet, and you'll see when we get into big battles, all of my ships don't have shields on them. And I think for the Azurai, I think that's the way to go. But like I said, if you're a Nord or something, by all means, use the shields. And if you love them, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I'm not trying to make more of it than it is. You can put them up and they work fine, and they'll stop some stuff from coming in, maybe. But when you talk about overwhelming firepower and supporting fire, I think the shields get in the way of a lot of that. My favorite figurehead for this playthrough, I think you got to go with the Hawk. Plus 15% ranged accuracy. And this is what pisses me off about not being able to be a shipmaster because of the attributes involved, is that here at the top, Commodore, the flagship figurehead. So my flagship provides bonus to all allied ships. And giving 15% extra ranged accuracy to all of my ships would have been amazing. So another thing that's kind of frustrating, especially since I leveled up the bosun skill and you don't even get the final perk. The rams are incredible, and this ship can get a nice top speed and take things out. But to be honest, it's usually, I mean, the juice just isn't worth the squeeze most of the time, setting it all up. Naval battles, you'll see when we get to the naval battles how I like to do them. But if you really like to take the time and set up the ram, go for it. These ships will do you right in that regard. Now, what do I always tell you about a campaign? Let it come to you. Just go with the flow and respond to what happens. But I do want to just point out to you some tips that I think will get you up and running very quickly. Anytime you're playing the Azurai, lean into your caravan bonus. You have a cultural bonus that gets you 30% off caravans, and you have an automatic 10% less trade penalty. Those are huge bonuses to building piles of dinars. So that early game, you know what we're doing. We're running around and we're clearing bandit camps right here, desert bandit camps. I'm hitting the parties. I'm hitting the hideouts. I'm buying mounts to get my movement speed up. We're farming up until we have enough money to launch a caravan. Look at the price on this. Is the upgraded caravan too. There he goes. Armed caravan for $15,750. What a deal. What a deal. So now he's running around making me money while I'm running around making me money. And what did I tell you is better than a caravan? 2 caravans. I found another Wainwright here, and she's pretty good. I mean, she's got the trade and the steward. She got a little scouting here. Not great, but she'll be all right. She'll get it done. But look, I come to Sanala, and look who it is. Oh, one of my favorite companions of all time. A woman upon whose camels I have forged empires. Ye old spice vendor. Let's come into the tavern and see her. I got to get my eyes on this girl because I love her. I love you too, Wainwright, but not as much as I love the spice vendor. Where is she? I know her there. No, that ain't her. Where's she at? Where's my girl? There she is. Look at her dancing around, having a ball. How much I love this girl. Oh, I love her too. Oh, really? I bet you don't. I bet you just grab her and send her out and get her working for you. Did you say thank you? Thank you, spice vendor. Did you write her a poem? Huh? Did you do that? I bet you didn't. You love her too. Please, you got no idea. Let's talk to her here. Yeah, look at that face.
I don't think I know you.
Yeah, you want to hear the poem I wrote for her? Because you're about to. Look at her there, all alone in the inn. Sorry your dad died, but I'll be your friend. I'll give you a camel and call you my honey if you'll please run around making piles of money. In the tavern you may find warriors, scholars, and sinners, but none hold a candle to my sweet spice vendor. You love her as much as I do. Please, you make me fucking sick. Yeah, I could use you in my company, dear. I need you so bad in my life, and you need her in your life too. Look at what she's got. She's coming in with the 159 trade to start, and she's got that 86 scouting. Now, something I really like to do, and I think you'll agree, is I like to throw her on a camel. Now, this isn't the camel I like to throw her on, actually, but it works. Do we have a camel saddle? It has to be a camel saddle. And look here, we had one camel saddle. Can you use the Bedouin saddle? No, okay, I was right. You got one camel saddle. So we found the spice vendor, we had the camel, and we found the camel saddle all together. What is that telling you? It's the gods of Calradia telling you are blessed, Bannerlord. And now she's ready to roll. If I like to dress her up a little better than this, something I like to put on my spice vendor here. Uh, this is why my guides get so long, because I'm showing you how I like to dress. I give a damn. My channel, my rules. What do we see here? What do we think? No, there's a merchant hat. They don't have one here. How's this turban? How's the wrapped cap? That's a little better, maybe. I don't know. How's the hijab? That's a little too. Looks like that's going to get hard. Desert headdress. What about that? Well, oh, there we go. I like that. I don't like the shawl. What do we got? I really like to put the leopard pelt on her, although you could argue this is going to really maybe make her like a lure for bandits. But whatever. She's under my protection. They better not. And then what do we got for like a craft? That's the pricey stuff. When you're just sending her out on caravans, don't put her in anything too pricey. What's the feminine crafting? I guess that looks all right. There we go. Yeah, she's crushing now. Anyway, you see what I'm saying about the rubs. There we go. Oh, I like that. With the, yeah, we got the leopard skin and we got the sash. We sell all this stuff. All right. And then I like to put a little bow and arrow on her. Now, if you have to fight with her for a little bit, make sure she doesn't die, because I've recruited her and then I go clear some bandit camps and she gets crunched up and then you lose her. Another one will respawn eventually, but this is me. I like to put her, dress her up nice and fancy, put her on that camel and get her working. She deserves it. We love you, Spice Vendor. And I'm going to tell you right now, when it comes to convoys, I've tried them over and over. First off, they're expensive as hell. That 21 grand out the bank is actually, I think, 30 grand for most of us. And then the expensive one is 40 grand. The Azerite get a reduction on convoys as well. But they get captured all the time. And the big problem is that, you know, those free refills I was talking about, the price is that there's Corsairs everywhere. And so unless you have someone that has a ton of shipmaster, which takes a while to level, it's just not worth it. And when you lose a convoy, it's 30 grand per, it hurts. At some point, I'm just going to be determined to get one up and running and just keep it going. But a 30 grand in the early game is a lot to put on the line. I mean, that's a big roll of the dice. And I've had them where they don't even get out of the straight here. And there's so many choke points like right here where, there's Corsairs all over here. So unless they just completely outrun them, it's really hard to justify the expense. And caravans are much safer. They make a ton of money. She just got started, so she's going to take a minute. But once they both come online, the money is going to be rolling in. And then, of course, you're going to be out there farming as well. So I get the double caravans running. All right. And then I'm buying the workshops. I get like one or two in Sanala. I come down here and I think about what maybe I could do something with this silver ore coming into Ascar. I don't know what that would be, but if you could think of something, maybe that could be nice. And then as you're running around for the rest of the game, it's down here just kicking money out every day. And that combination, I mean, you basically earn a high quality fief in the early game if you set it up right. Once you get all that set up, and I mean all of it, make sure, hell, go ahead and launch another caravan if you want, but at some point, you do want to get a navigator. That's another thing, because we're going to be on the sea a lot. And like I said, Shipmaster wasn't something that I could really get into. So you're going to need that navigator, because getting that bonus to movement speed is huge, game changing. So get a good navigator. If you're not going to do bosun, make your navigator your first mate as well. And I suggest you do. So here we are a little bit later, and you can see I'm kind of dressed like a gypsy here. I mean, I think my guy looks awesome, but I kept it cheap. The thing that I like to do is I come in here and you just sort by name, and I'm just looking at legendary stuff, because you can get some nice armor that's pretty cheap and looks awesome. Like this right here, these legendary robes. It's probably a nice little upgrade for my man. It really is. And it's only 1238. That's real nice. So we can just put him in that. And that's a nice upgrade.
But things that are like 20 grand and stuff, hell no. I'm not doing all that. What's this turban? Here you go, big guy. There you go. So you get a really nice upgrades to their armor for just, keep it under 2 grand. Let's not get crazy. But that's just something that's how I like to do it in the early game. You can come down here looking lordly too, like lordly kite shield. But look, he's got this legendary makeshift kite shield. This cost me like 300 dinars, but it's got 410 hit points. That's pretty good for an early game shield, and he's still rocking his rusty. I mean, what he'll get something. Now, see, this is something you want to keep an eye out for too. And every once in a while, you find a rare item like this that's legendary. Maybe you do want to splurge because sometimes they're hard to find. It's funny when you don't have money for them, they show up, but then when you do, you'll never see them again. Just the nature of it, I suppose. Once you got all that set up, this is when I come and I bought my galley. So we go to port, we manage fleet, and I just bought some nice cheap galleys. Now, ironically, what I said about the shields doesn't apply to the galleys because your troops are very often shooting upwards. So the shields are actually nice to have on the galleys. And I like to start with some galleys because I think it's thematic. It's actually better, in my opinion, to drop one of these galleys and get a ship like a dhow here. This would actually be better. Do I have the money to make that change? So I messed that up. But it's a lot more expensive, and you're going to loot these. So maybe just get, and you don't need 3 of them, but I did here because by the time I got all that set up, you can see I have 90 guys, and here we've got 30 each. And when it comes to your early party, this is it, right? Like I recruit the desert bosses. This guy I saved. I don't recruit noble troops until I'm a noble. You guys know that. But if I rescue him, and I rescued this guy from a hideout, so I kept him. And then these Harami. This is one of my favorite early game units. I mean, these guys are incredible. Their throwing's only 100, but you remember if you become captain of their little group, that you can buff that up. And look what they're throwing. These Jareeds, 121 Pierce, and you get these guys in the early game. You find them in bandit hideouts and you recruit them as you go. They're spectacular, and they will ride you through that early game, no problem. Very thematic, very cool. They've got decent armor, but their firepower is just unbelievable. And then when they're done throwing them, they have this awesome spear, and this is that fine leaf spear that if they land it, even if it doesn't kill their opponent, it can dismount them. It's an incredible spear, an incredible throwing weapon. Their shields suck, but it is what it is. And in the early game, I mean, everybody's shield sucks, right? The bandit shields suck too. And you're mostly fighting guys with slinging rocks. So they're incredible. And you can see I've been using them. I've been using them a lot, and I got more to recruit. And then I like to keep them as the game goes on. I never get rid of them until I run out of them. And then eventually I got down to like my last 2, and I had a little moment. You guys know I get attached to my pixels. That's my composition. Oh, but something to remember I want to point out here. I don't have any Mariner troops, and I got 30 recruits. So when you first start out on that galley battle, what you want to do is you set sail, and you want to pick your battles carefully. Don't be going running into 70 Corsairs because they will mess you up. And you guys know if you've been playing War Sails long enough, you can get tore up pretty quick out here in the water. These water battles are pretty brutal. Before you got your medic and all your buffs and all that shit coming in, all that cool shit I showed you, yeah, that don't apply right now. It's raw. But this, look, dude, what a fort. The gods love Oklahoma. You can see it. Look at this. He's going to knock down those fishermen. First off, that pisses me off coming from these are my folks, right? These fishermen. And we're going to come in right behind him, and we're going to get justice. And look right here. It's a medium. You see there it says medium? That means there's a sandbook in here. And here's what I want to challenge you, Bannerlord. You earn that sandbook. Don't you go buying a sandbook. That's lame. You earn your sandbook. You take it from your opponents. And look how many prisoners they have. These guys have been getting to work, and now they're in trouble. Oh, also remember with the galleys, they're shallow draft. So you're going to get a little bonus in the coast, but you go out here in the deep blue, you don't have your navigator, they will hunt you down. It is dangerous. So until you've got a crew that can kind of hold its own, just tread carefully. But even if you lose, take your loss like a goddamn man for once instead of reloading every time. Jeez, you make me sick. What did I just tell you? Your base is all set up, right? The workshops are pumping. The caravans are rolling. It's not that long until you're back in action. So we're going to hit these guys. Here we go. Going to hit fisherman. You got to go, partner. Just do a little love tap, start pulling up, and let's just get to work, fellas. Let's do it. Oh, there we go. Right to the dome. You saw me take him down. I'm a killer. You want some loving? Give him the death sticks. Now we got to get that saber working. Oh, no, you don't. You don't want none of the red beard, motherfucker. Kicking ass since the beginning. You can know that. We're coming around on the flank. Coming around on the flank. Oh, look at my boys. Even my little recruit there. I saw you, King. Huh? This is a real treat here. Because, look, these guys were headed to the slave market before we saved them. You better believe they want to come help us. Always want to keep these nates. I like to have a few, especially in the early game when we're getting set up until we can level up our own guys here. And you better believe they want to come serve the Redbeard now. These caravan guards, anything that's got this mariner on it, I think you got to grab here. I like to kind of have a ragtag crew. We've got some nates. We've got some convoy guards. Sometimes I've had some Nord convoy guards. I mean, you're gonna crack up at all the things you rescue on the sea. But the most important thing is here, you hang on to these Corsair chiefs. We get all these goods too. Bring it all in. Doesn't matter. This is why we need that cargo ship in tow. What do we got? Oh, I am favored. Don't you know? And there it is. The Scarlet Antelope. The first of these. And that's what you want to do. You want to earn your sandbook like a damn man, Bannerlord. That's the challenge. And this is where you want to be. All right? You want to get the double sandbooks with the Corbita. Because look at that cargo capacity, 15.6. Because it's got this large cargo tent upgrade. You can get this in Sinala. So the second you loot one of these, I think I actually just ended up buying one because I was like in battle after battle and I couldn't get one. Also, the nice thing about the Corbita is I think it's the only cargo ship that has a deep draft. This is also a fantastic time to get on that Merc contract because you're going to get paid for taking down other Corsairs, merchant vessels, whatever. And this is what you do. You just fill up your badass fleet with goods. You head over here to another territory to trade. And then on your way, you're just hitting targets of opportunity like this sweet convoy here. I wouldn't go hitting enemy lords too much. It's really fun to come in and be the savior of a faction. Plus, if the enemy takes some nice fiefs here, it gives you some incentive. So as soon as something becomes available, that's when I go sign up. So like right now with Qasira, this is when I'm coming into the Azerai and I'm signing up because it won't be long before they go back to war with the Western Empire. And then as long as you're crushing on the water, they'll take it back and then it'll be yours. Remember, I'm just showing you how I did this. You don't have to do it the way I do. And if you want to make changes or do a different build or whatever, do it that way. I'm showing you how to kick ass and take names so that you can go have a ball. And I want you to get the most out of war sales. And this is a great play for doing that. And now let me show you what all of this hard work is going to lead to. Look at this town. Look how beautiful this is. I mean, it is just an epic city. And then look at the market here. Oh, yeah. And how badass is it to start out as a young buck, poor as hell, and now I'm Emir of Qasira. How badass is that? We even got this little star fountain in here. I'm loving this star fountain. Beautiful. And I got 2 swimming pools. And I love a nice swimming pool. So I'm in. And look, you got the little fishing boat out there. Oh, boy. Reminds me of Daddy. Oh, poor Daddy. He'd be so proud. I mean, maybe he's still alive. Who knows? Look down here at the docks. Look at these docks. Isn't this epic? You got to take the time to come in here and see what all your hard work has paid off. Love it, love it, love it. Love this city. And then when it's time to get to work, we just come in here and we create our army and we grab all of our dudes right here. Oh, another thing. And one of the things that I did way too late, policies, amnesties for pirates. The second you have a port city, make sure you pass this because your garrison is just going to be leveling up as you run around. And what I like, I come in here and do not let high quality troops rot in your garrison. You take the high quality troops and either keep them in your personal army or give them to your companion armies, and then put a bunch of, scrubs in here. It doesn't matter. You just want them leveling up as you run around. And then by the time you come back, they'll at least be level 3. Some will be level 4, whatever. But you're not having to bring in a bunch of recruits. Okay. On top of that, with that amnesty for pirates, every once in a while, a stack of Corsairs is going to come in here and drop themselves off inside your garrison. So when you come back, you're going to have upgraded troops and Corsairs to pull right back in. You can refill up immediately and get back to work. And so now we can just set sail and our crew will come to us. Another thing, if you're new to War Sales and you don't know this, you can click onto your party leader here, and here's how you can give them troops. You can inspect troops, and you can see I've loaded them up with my elite troops, and they got some guys they're leveling up. Sometimes I like to take these recruits and give them more stuff, but this is fine. And then also, here's the big one is ships. Now, what's going to happen is when you get in big naval battles as an army, sometimes you loot the ships and sometimes they do. And what'll happen is they'll get 4, 5, or 6 ships and they don't sell them. And eventually your oversized fleet penalty will get ridiculous. So you got to come in here, go to their ships and take them. I wish you could just lock the ships that they're going to have and then they would just automatically sell the ones you don't want them to keep. That needs to happen. And that was some more feedback that I gave Tailwheel. So it's just by the end of the game, by the time you get into giving them troops, giving them their ships, and then maintaining their party and all that stuff, it just feels like you're playing Menu Lord instead of Banner Lord. And that's exactly what I told them. So we'll see as time goes on. And I really believe something like party AI controls needs to be added to the game, especially when it comes to garrisons. When I come back, this is going to be full of veteran infantry and Bereas instead of Jav, Cav, and a bunch of shit that I'm not using. And being able to dictate your garrison and your party compositions really adds to the immersion of the game when you want to do a thematic playthrough. Say you want to do a Sturgia playthrough where you do all axemen, or you want to do a Kazay playthrough where it's all horse archers, like I like to do. You can only really do that with mods, or it's just a tedious amount of menus to get that accomplished. And it shouldn't be that hard. And it doesn't seem like it would take too much to get that up and running since there's mods that already do it. So it needs to go into the base game. I think we can all agree things like that, just quality of life, things like that would be wonderful. We all disagree on, recruiting restrictions and stuff like that, but you should be able to pick what kind of garrison you want. I think we can all agree with that. Anyway, here come your guys. And we're going to put our big-ass Navy together, and this is where it's happening. Oklahoma gang, look at this. Look at this big, sexy fleet of Gurabs. Any day, fellas. It took them forever. Okay, once you get your massive fleet together, you roll around and we dominate the southern seas. And not only do we dominate the sea and protect our coastline, but now our newly conquered port cities are completely protected by our massive fleet. How was that done? Let me show you. Now prepare to witness the wrath of the Redbeard. And here we have us a situation. The Sultan took Charas and he plans on keeping it. We've even got another army coming in to help, and we could join in with them and make this happen. We could also, it's got a 500-man garrison, so we could let them wear themselves into a manageable number and then hit them that way. Or we could be the most badass naval power in the history of Calradia, and we can crush these guys on the sea and spread our name so that everyone fears us and knows, don't you ever come into the South Seas. And I think that's what we should do. Let's just look at the numbers here. 2475, and I'm under 1K. You know damn well if you go fight in this battle on land, you are going to get crushed unless you do some of that cheesy shit that some of you guys like to do. That ain't me. So there's no way. But out here on the water, what did I tell you? Who's the master of the waves? Something to remember, though. You can only challenge the blockade if they haven't started their assault yet. Once they get going, you can no longer challenge them at sea, and then you just have to go on the land and let them get to a manageable number and hit them. But if they're still setting up, you can hit them in the blockade, and they have to stop you. Otherwise, you're going to shove this city full of another 1K elite troops, also bringing in a ton of food and stuff. So they have to stop your fleet from coming in. Y'all ready for this? Dun, 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 dun. Play the music, because you're about to be so impressed. When you get in these big epic naval battles, you fight in rounds, and it's 8 on 8. And I know that upsets a lot of people, and if it upsets you, go bitch about it on Reddit. I don't give a damn. It's still a lot of fun. I have a great time. Something to remember with these fleets is for every ship that you put into play, you are going to pull away from the amount of guys that you're bringing in here. So if I bring an extra Sandvik in here, you can see it pulls away from my reserves to fill it up. Whereas I put the Sandvik back in here, now all my ships have a few extra guys on them. I like to have a few reserves, but the most important thing, and the reason why I'm not bringing another ship is because all of these Gurabs that I have here all have fire pump ballistas on them. And that's really what I want. I want to have the maximum amount of firepower. And so bringing in another Sandvik doesn't really matter. And hopefully, with all this firepower, we can knock at least one ship out before they get to us. And if not, we'll just cause as much damage and chaos as we can. One thing to remember in these battles, if your unit spawn prioritization is high level, and I think this is the best setting because it creates the best challenge, then all the high level units are going to spawn first. Even though the AI sometimes doesn't do a good job of bringing a bunch of high level troops to bear, in this case, Vlandy has been at peace for a while, so its armies have been built up. Plus, it has almost a 2,500 man army. So even if only 30% of them are high level troops, these first 1 to 3 waves are going to have some high level troops in them. And that's kind of something you need to remember. The first battles are going to be the bloodiest. And so just prepare yourself, because the first few waves, it gets real. One of the things you want to make sure of is that your guy doesn't go down if you can, because you are not going to be able to sim this battle and win. You are going to have to manually fight it. And if you lose on the sea, you'll lose your entire fleet. So this is a huge risk you're taking, and you don't want to sim it. When it comes to setting up your fleet, just do whatever you want. I'm just going to auto-deploy, because a straight line like this works. What I like to do is I like to let them come in a certain ways, and once they get close enough, then I engage, because you want as much fire going out as you can. Okay, and enough with the chit-chat. Let's just get it going. And first off, check out my badass fleet. These are all my ships. This is my personal fleet. Okay, this isn't an Azerite fleet. This is a Banu Albar fleet. And here they come. Now, the thing about the sea is it's pretty bouncy, and so you'll see the ships turn and twist, but you'll also see that the ballistas have a pretty good turn radius, so it doesn't really matter. Just sit here and let them start coming in, and there it goes. Look at that. Yeah, baby. Here comes the boom boom. We're firing up the grill. Let's see. What do we got coming in here? Looks like we've got 3 round ships and a bunch of cogs. His sails are going up. They're in flames. No, fellas. Shoot that one right there. There it is, right in the breadbasket. You see it. If we can get one of these ships down, that would be incredible. I'm doubtful we're going to be able to. I was hopeful we could get some of these ships down. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pause this and show you what we're doing. So here with our guy, we're going to send this guy in here. I'm actually going to send this ship in on this guy right here. And then number 6 out there, let's get him started. I like to gang up on the round ships. And then number 3 right here. Oh boy, that one really, is it going? It's not going up in flames. So what we'll do is we'll go out there to 7. We'll get them going. 5, you're going right there. 3, I'm going to send you in on the round ship here. And then for us, I'm going to just hold, and we'll just see how it plays out. Are they coming in here? They are. And so what I want to do now is I'm going to turn my ship so they can't just come in here and board. There we go. Put them on the front. And then look, as they're coming in on the front, you can keep, well, they got in on us, but we got a few more shots off. And this is where it gets ugly. But we're going to get uglier. So they're coming in, and eventually I'll start landing some javelins. But just throw it into the pile, because even if they have ships, and look, you got plenty of them. Now, I actually do not like to send my guys across because I want their guys to come out on the bridge. And because it just, see how it creates that beautiful pile? If you send your guys across, they will kind of get in the way of you being able to just sit back here and do this. And this is what's amazing. And you can see the power of all those throwing skills. Doesn't matter if they got their shield up. Doesn't matter if they have armor. None of that matters. I need to get this guy down who's doing some damage. Look at that. Don't let him fire that. There we go. Right in his dick. You take that. Here comes another one. Nope. No, don't let him hit me. There we go. Keep your guy up. That's the number one thing. Once you get them low like that, now it's good time to send them across. How we doing over here? You can see, oh shit. Where did that come from? See, that's what I'm saying. You got to be real careful here. We're fine though. We're all right. 'Tis but a scratch. How we doing? Okay, so they're still going. Now, what I should have done is once we've all engaged, I should have delegated command. And you want to do that because sometimes they mop up one of those cogs pretty quickly, and then you want to get them back in the fight. You don't want them just standing there. Beautiful. So that's round one, and that's the most brutal round. We did take some casualties. Remember, we have just under 1,000 troops, so we got hit pretty good. But look what they got hit with. So now we're down to 842, and they're still over 2K. Here we go, round two, fight. And we'll just hit that auto deploy again, and here we go. And here they come. And it's pretty much the same formation as last time. We got those 3 rounds and a bunch of cogs. Ideally, we're going to light one of these ships on fire and take one out immediately. But even if it doesn't happen, just whittling them down a little bit is nice. Everybody's filling that bad boy up. Also, you can hold the alt and you can see, yeah, they're all at full health. So, but it is interesting with the health. If they light on fire, all of a sudden, it'll start going down quickly. So it can go from healthy to unhealthy real quick. There it is. Boy, it's really on fire. Turn your ship sideways. Are they jumping off? They're jumping off. We smoked it. That's outstanding. This is best case scenario right here. They are not coming at us. What we want to do now is we're going to have 3 come join us on this other big boy here. And we're going to go have number 2 get out there and help. Yeah. Reinforce them over there because they're fighting a cog and a ship by themselves. And this is where, look at this. Look at the supporting fire. You see how not having those battlements can be really powerful? Just be careful because those damn crossbows, they hurt bad. But this is what I'm talking about. When you have to throw down like this, this is where those battlements really get in the way. Whereas now, look at this guy is just slinging into them. So do what you got to do. But you can see the power of not having them. And you can tell by the casualties I'm taking versus the casualties that they're taking, it doesn't hurt that bad not to have them. This is why you really need that medicine perk, and you should just get it right away. I don't know why I didn't have it. You should have. Okay, round 2's down. Now they're down 1,600. We're down to a little under 7. But like I'm telling you, we're whittling down their best units first. It's going to be okay. Trust in Boatswain gang. So here we are in round 3. We hit the auto deploy, and you can see the attrition is starting to hit us because we no longer have a few in reserve now. Now we're not even fully filling up our ships. We're just short a couple, so it's not that bad. Now you could pull this ship off, and then you're going to get some nice reinforcements. 10, 11 here. The first problem with that is it allows them to team up on your ships better because you just have fewer ships than they do. Also, pulling this Garab off the line removes an extra fire pump ballista. And so I don't like to do that. They'll be fine with 74. And here we go, round 3. So you can see that one right there was 72. The hull is very weak. However, fire pump ballistas don't do a ton of hull damage. That's where your heavy iron ballistas are actually going to really shine. They don't shoot as far, though, so you have to let them get in close. But if you really want to sink ships, that iron ballista, it really does the work. But the fire pumps are just too good. And hopefully our ships will target that one and light it on fire. And then if you light it on fire, they just melt. You can see it'll lose some guys and then it'll refill. So we're pulling from the reinforcements right away. There goes 72 to go down. And then some guys will spawn from beneath the deck. There we go. 62 and it's filling back up. And it's got a ton of reinforcements. But that's kind of the power of the fire plot ballistas. They may not do as much hull damage, but they do great crew damage. And I do have that bosun perk where my ballistas do 30% more damage to the hull. So it's a nice little buff here. Try to keep my ship facing that way. I think, did they get it? Yep, they got it. Look at that. And you'll see the guys will get it. There it is. It's starting to sink and they're going to jump off. So now we really just want to hit this guy here in the middle. We're going to team up on this guy together, me and number 3. I'm going to try to get him out there. And then 5, I want you to move up. Number 2 here. And we'll put, okay, 2. I want them coming right here. 4. And I want to gang up on this 104 with these 2 guys. And then 6 out there at the end. Looks like he's getting started right there. So this is what we're going to do coming in. We're going to back it up so number 3 can get on one side and I can get on the other. And this is what we're going to get 2 of them right here. Come on. 3, I want you in on this. 2 right there. 4, get in on that too. And this is what I like to do. I like to gang up on these bad boys. And I also love to miss all my javelin tosses. Just throw it. And see, look over there from the other side, they're throwing in. They're throwing theirs in the backs of these guys. They're fighting us this way. But they're getting it from the back as well. And they're just going to burn through their guys very quickly that way. Look at all these poor bastards. Look at all the javelins. Look at them everywhere. Oh, that's great. That's how we do it. What are we doing here? What are we waiting on? Any day, fellas. Still taking more casualties than I'd like, but 130 is a lot better than what are we at here? 480, almost 500. Yeah. We also sunk one of those heavies, so it won't be able to be in the next battle. Here we are at the beginning of round 4, and you can see the attrition starting to add up. But fear not. Have faith, Banner Lords. You can see the enemy now only has 2 round ships because we turned that other one into a crispy critter. You're going to see as they come in, the quality of their troops is a lot lower than it was when we first started. Here pretty soon it's going to get to a point where our casualties go down dramatically between battles. Look at that Berlinger. I don't think he's going to make it. I don't know. He's already in flames. We'll send 2 right there, 4 right there, 6 right there, 3, they're coming in on you, 5, they're right there. We're going to move into position, and 7, why don't you just take out the guy? Now, the Berlinger didn't make it. Look at him. They got to, and what we can do here, we can start pumping this cog still to keep them from ganging up on our guys. Look at these Bereas. See what I'm saying? With that big, heavy longbow. See the fire arrows? Isn't that awesome? The brazers right here. They're firing. At nighttime, you should see it. It looks epic. I got him. Ah, come on. Hey, there it is. He's a shooter. And this is where the enemy army starts getting in real trouble. And now you're really going to see the power of these But because a couple of these are probably going to get burned up before they even get here. And this is why I almost am adamant about keeping all 7 of my Gurabs in the battle, because taking 1 or 2 ships out changes the entire dynamic, especially on those heavy ships. Oh no, it's getting hot. Look out, boys. Coming, look at that. Boom, 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 boom. Look at all that firepower that doesn't hit for shit. Just delegate command. Honestly, at this point, you don't even have to get crazy with it. Just delegate command. Start throwing javelins everywhere. That's all you have to do. You don't have to hit. See, just let them know you're thinking about them. Come on. Someone. Here it comes. Here it comes. This is it. Oh, nice throw, fella. I saw that. What a stud. You get a medal for that. We'll get you something shiny. Put it in your turban. Battle 1. And this is what I'm saying. Look, now the casualties are completely one-sided. And now we have the advantage. And remember, we were down almost 1,500 troops. And here in round 6, you can see we're down to the fishing ships and galleys. Here they come. Gonna throw their fishing hooks at us. I'm never gonna get my throwing to 275 on this guy because you assholes keep soaking up all the targets. Plus, you can see I have a hard time. Look at that. Look at that throwing. Just launching him. I got him. I got him. There it is. Oh, there. Oh, yeah. And this is what you do now. These last few battles, I still like to do it because if you sim, your ships take damage. It's just ridiculous what happens if you sim. So, unfortunately, you kind of just got to keep going. Oh, that one, see, it's at half health, and they only got 14 in each. Oh, it's kind of sad, but not really. Are any of these going to make it? The few that do, it's not good. It's really not good. We're going to come in here and sell. And now look how much I'm making a day from party income. Because they scored a ton of loot too, and it doesn't matter how much gold the town has, they can sell everything. So they sold all of that loot. I got a ton of influence back from the ships. And yeah, our party's down a little bit, but it's not too bad. And remember, I didn't even have a fully upgraded army. So we took down that 2,500-man army by ourselves. What that's done is it's freed this whole army up to go do something else, and they're probably going to lay siege to this castle. We're going to set sail. Remember, I get faster healing on the sea. Plus, I think my wife has some decent medicine too, so they're going to heal up okay. I can come talk to my party leader here, and I can say, let me inspect your troops. And what do we got? He's got like looters and recruits. This is the part that sucks, is you have to do all this. But he doesn't, I mean, he needs a lot of guys. I can just give them to him. Just fill him up. Now, I'm down over 100 guys, but remember, my garrison is leveling up recruits for me right now, and I've got that policy that's going to allow Corsairs to land in here. Plus, as I'm sailing around and I find Corsair parties, I can just run into them and immediately replenish my guys. And so that's the power of having a navy. You're going to see a lot of comments on forums and subreddits where people are like, having a navy really doesn't do anything for you. It's kind of just a mini game that you can play. And just remember, that's something that stupid people say. And stupid people love to say things on forums and subreddits. What did I just show you? You can dominate the sea and you can dominate the coast if you have a naval power, because anytime they want to come and contest one of these port cities, as long as you can get there in time before they get started, you can shut it down. You can take them on. It doesn't matter how many troops they have. And like I'm saying, my army isn't even that elite yet. As you keep leveling it up and keep dishing out elite troops, you keep it together, oh my God, these guys become monsters. It doesn't matter what they do. They cannot create an army or navy powerful enough to stop you. And now you have heard the tale of the legendary Bobarossa, king of Corsairs, who mastered the waves and built a mighty clan upon a tide of gold. Raise your war sails, banner lords, for the sea grants its blessings only to those brave enough
to ride the wave. Fortune shall be yours. Oklahoma out.